Looks like Plymouth done gone and lost its mind again, and I'm all for it. The 2026 Plymouth Roadrunner. A name that ain't been around for a long time, but now it's back, and they ain't playing around. Now, first things first, under the hood, none of this tiny turbocharged 4-cylinder nonsense, no sir. We're talking big power, big sound, and big trouble for the competition. The 2026 Roadrunner packs a naturally aspirated 6.4-liter Hemi V8 under that long, aggressive hood. Yep, 392 cubic inches of old-school American muscle, shoving out a nice and round 500 horsepower. And before anyone gets their pants in a twist about fuel economy, let's be honest, nobody buys a Roadrunner because they want to sip gas like it's a fine wine. This thing drinks it straight from the bottle and asks for seconds. Now, they did throw in some modern trickery, like cylinder deactivation and an 8-speed automatic transmission to keep the EPA folks from getting too grumpy. But don't you worry, there's still a proper Tremex 6-speed manual available for those of us who actually enjoy driving. And you better believe that's the one to get. Slide on over to the exterior and just look at it. They somehow managed to make it look both brand new and straight out of 1970 at the same time. Long, low, and wide, with a nose that looks like it's ready to punch a Camaro square in the jaw. And the graphics? Oh yeah, they brought back the classic Roadrunner stripe package. And that little Warner Brothers bird is still hanging around, probably laughing at every poor soul that tries to race it. But here's where things get real interesting. See, Plymouth, or rather, Dodge, Chrysler, Stellantis, or whatever they're calling themselves this week, didn't just throw an old name on a Charger and call it a day. Nope. This thing rides on a modified version of the same rear-wheel drive platform that underpins the Challenger and Charger. But it's lighter, meaner, and built to handle. They used aluminum and carbon fiber in all the right places, meaning this big bruiser tips the scales at just under 4,000 pounds. Now, that ain't light by old-school standards, but in today's world, it's practically a featherweight fighter. And speaking of fighting, let's talk suspension. Plymouth knew they couldn't just build another straight-line missile. Not in 2026. The Roadrunner comes standard with adaptive dampers, a limited slip differential, and a set of sticky tires that actually let you turn the thing. And for those who want to take it up a notch, there's the Superbird package. Yes, you heard that right. The legendary Superbird is back in the form of an optional aero kit that adds a massive nose cone and an even bigger wing out back. Is it ridiculous? Absolutely. Do I love it? You bet your last dollar I do. Inside, it's got just the right mix of old school and modern. You got a dash layout that nods to the classics, complete with round gauges and a pistol grip shifter if you spec the manual. But it's also got all the tech stuff you'd expect. Big old touchscreen, digital gauges, and even a heads-up display so you can keep your eyes on the road while doing things you probably shouldn't be doing. And the best part? They didn't skimp on the seats. These ain't just your standard flat-bottomed, no-support-having buckets. These hug you tight enough to remind you why you shouldn't have skipped leg day, especially if you plan on throwing this thing into a few corners. Now, what's all this gonna cost you? Well, if you were hoping for 1970 prices, I got bad news. Base models start around $55,000. And if you want all the goodies, Superbird package, carbon fiber bits, and all the track day nonsense, you're looking at closer to $80,000. Ain't cheap, but compared to what else is out there, it's still a steal. You try finding 500 horsepower, a manual transmission, and a big old cartoon bird on the fender anywhere else for that kind of money. So, who's this car for? Well, if you like boring, sensible, eco-friendly, quiet, and practical, go ahead and keep walking. But if you like burnouts, speed, loud noises, and leaving black stripes on the pavement every time you leave the grocery store, congratulations! You just found your next car. Now, will this thing be a future classic? Hard to say, but one thing's for sure. Plymouth came back swinging, and the Roadrunner ain't just another badge job. It's loud, It's fast, it's ridiculous, and it's exactly what a muscle car should be. And that, my friends, is what we call a proper comeback.